Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you guys ready? Okay, let's serve Uganda. As promised, we deliver. We are redefining the social media narrative, asking tough questions and holding your leaders accountable. We are non-partisan and break down having a conversation with Uganda.
We are the Mighty Drive. We hold debates that give you viable solutions. We bring to you people that Ivora is wanting to listen to. We are gender sensitive and give space to the unheard voices. Not forgetting the quote of the day.
We are live on our social media platforms, The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter from Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Don't miss the debate behind the wheels and studios.
I am Edgar Matthew Karuhanga.
And Princess Luwe Delidian.
Expect in-depth analysis, credible, factual and authentic information. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Right, tomorrow we are going to be expecting the President of the Republic of Uganda, Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to be addressing the nation again about the ongoing, a lot of controversies that are ongoing in the country today. We have a lot of bomb blasts, we still have COVID-19, and of course, we still have a country as Uganda, and of course, he is the President. He will be addressing the nation, telling us more about what we should expect that is from him, and about the security and the insecurity, of course, in this particular part of Africa, that is Uganda. So tomorrow, get yourself set at exactly 8 p.m. I'm not sure if it will be 8 p.m. Because he's prone at, coming late, but of course, we shall expect that he'll be speaking to the country. That will be tomorrow, and all media houses and all stations and all radios, the President will be live. So don't miss out tomorrow at exactly 8 p.m. We shall be having the President of the country telling us more about the state of the nation today. Today we have a lot of insecurities. That means we have bomb blasts, we've had machete wielding goons, we've had a bit of challenges here and there. We still have COVID-19, as I've told you. So these are some of the things that we hope the President will be able to address in his presidential address come tomorrow. We have a couple of news stories that have been making rounds in the country and of course the rest of the globe. In Sudan, by the way, we are having more protests that are saying, hey, the coup d'etat that you staged is not welcome here, and of course we do not need it as the people of Sudan. That is what is happening there. From the time Omar al-Bashir left the seat after 29 years of ruling Sudan, right now we have not had a stable leadership that has been taking this country forward, and for the last 6 months we have had a lot of instabilities that is in Sudan. That we are having those protests in Khartoum, and that and much more is what you're going to expect in this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Karuhanga Edgar Matthew, and of course on camera I have Anita Musimenta, my programs director and producer, Arnold Mukose Anthony, and Jeremiah Muchibi plus Teddy Tenjo Naukera. Good morning. We are proudly powered by Praise Property Consultants. So if you want anything that deals inland, so anybody if you want to buy land, or you're planning to buy land or sell land or anything like that, feel free to look for Praise Property Consultants. They have land on the outskirts of Kampala, and of course in Kampala and some parts of the country. Praise Property Consultants is located at KCCA Market, that is in Wandegea, level 2, room 128, or you can call in. Their number is 0706 147 006. That's Praise Property Consultants for you, and they will be able to solve all your land challenges, and of course housing and real estate, anything that you would want in that department. Now let me delve into the stories that have been making rounds in Uganda today. As of yesterday evening, the police identified that 4 people had lost their lives in the bomb blast that happened, the twin bomb blast that happened in Kampala. That was yesterday. We saw one along CPS, and the other was at Jubilee Insurance Building, that is along the Parliamentary Avenue. Now, among the people who lost their lives, there is Mr. Amos Nkungu. All these are mostly police officers of the state, and that is something that is so saddening at the end of the day. One is Amos Kungu, the other is Ismail Basibe, Christopher Sunday, and George Katana. Those are the 4 that have been confirmed to have lost their lives in the bomb blast. That means the death toll rises to 4, though many reports were indicating that the police, these bomb blasts were claimed over 6 lives. But I think when we are now counting only the lives of the victims, not the suicide bombers, although the suicide bombers as well are Ugandans, but we do not count them in this toll. So that means the people who have lost their lives are 4 in the bomb blast. But if you do a total, you will realize that there are almost like 7, because we had 3 suicide bombers who claimed the lives of Ugandans. The state of insecurity is still hovering. All roads where these atrocities happened, or these bombings happened, are still under siege, and they have been locked down by the police as they're still doing a forensic audit of what exactly transpired yesterday, as the bombs were killing various Ugandans and injuring many. Remember, over 33 people were injured, and KCCA confirmed that 12 people have been released from hospital, and some of course are still battling some intensive challenges that came from those particular bomb blasts. Now, in another news story that we have accidents. Accidents, as I told you, I think a few months ago, that accidents are killing and claiming various lives of Ugandans, and in a year over 10,000 lives are lost just to accidents and things like that, and many are injured. But we have a growing spate of accidents. Yesterday, another accident happened along Masaka Road between Aprimo and another G touring car. 4 people were injured, and fortunately, none of them is dead, but they are really in critical conditions. And of course, this brings me to a point of reiterating the fact that we need to take care of ourselves. We need to drive safe. We need to be careful, because at the end of the day, it is our lives that are on stake or are at stake. So feel free to always drive maybe on advisable speed. Do not overtake. Do not just play around, because it's your life that you are risking right about now. Now, we're still talking about terrorism. Yesterday, the police, the police arrested, in fact. They arrested a gentleman who was trying to cross from Burundi, coming to Uganda through the Kisoro border. Now, this gentleman had some sacks of cassava, but inside the sacks, there were 2 guns, and the police was tipped off by a vigilant person, which we are requiring from the public today. A vigilant person tipped off the police and said, this gentleman who's coming in must have a bit of guns or something like that. And the security was able to intercept at around 5 a.m. And this is a kudos to the Uganda Police Force for doing its work very, very well. And I was talking to one policeman, and he was saying that he actually watches the Mighty Drive, but he's sometimes not really receptive to the things we talk about the police. He says that we over criticize them, but this is the fact. When you do the right thing, of course, we as the Fourth Estate, we are here to also flag what you're doing right. But if you're doing something wrong, of course, we are going to hold you accountable, because that is our job, to hold you accountable, and of course to blow the whistle for the Ugandans to actually know what they are going through. So the police intercepted an individual, and he is suspected to be a member of the M23. Those are the rebels that have have been ravaging Congo, and of course it is said that they are working in alliance with the ADF that are ravaging Uganda today. We had 2 twin blasts yesterday that actually came from that. So these are some of the things that we're actually talking about. And we had the twin bomb blast on Tuesday, not yesterday. I'm sorry for that. We had the twin bombings on Tuesday. So these bombings are said to be designed or implemented by the ADF. And the ADF are working with the M23. So this gentleman was trying to intercept, and police has not yet revealed anything about him, but all we know is that he is under custody, and they are still interrogating to find out what is the actual truth and what is the fact of the matter. Just 9 minutes past 7 a.m. You are watching The Mighty Drive, and of course it's always a pleasure to have you on The Drive. Our social media platforms, that is at Alternative Uganda on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all other social media platforms. That's where you will find us, our handle at The Alternative Uganda. That's where we stream live. And of course, YouTube, we are The Alternative Uganda. Feel free to go and share most of those videos. And remember the campaign we told you about, that starting from 1st December, if you make 100 shares of the show, feel free to just inbox us and tell us, I have made 100 shares, and we shall be able to reimburse 5,000 shillings to your mobile money. You can maybe use data, or you can have it as something to go through the day. So if you want to take part, just go and share the videos and show. If you have reached 100 likes, 100 shares, that means you are automatically going to receive 5,000 Uganda shillings. That will be a reward for you. This is strictly for our viewers, so if you know you are a viewer, go share that video, share the link to various groups, to various pages, and of course we shall be able to reimburse the 5,000 Uganda shillings for you every day starting 1st December, and we shall be telling you when this particular campaign will be ending. And of course this is a token of appreciation to you for watching, and of course for growing with us, because at the end of the day we are redefining the social media narrative in this country. Now let's talk about KCCA. KCCA has secured a loan that is worth 32 billion that is going to be invested in what they dub the streetlights campaign. So what this is going to do, KCCA is seeking to start over 20,000 to install over 20,000 street lights for Ugandans to be shining throughout the day and of course throughout the night. Uganda has been having a challenge of street lights. Uganda is predominantly dark when you look at the time of night. Now what the KCCA has secured a loan that is worth 32 billion from the French government, and what they're going to do is that they're going to install a lot of street lights, over 20,000 street lights. As we speak right now, we have not more than 115 kilometers that have been covered by street lights, and yet Kampala is as large as 1,200 kilometers. So we need more lights in the city, of course, to be safe, and at the end of the day to make the city look attractive for those that enjoy the city at night. And remember, in January the president promised that he's going to be reopening the whole economy. That means the night economy will be thriving as well, and if it's thriving, we need these street lights at the end of the day. And we had Miss Dorothy Chisaka. She said that this campaign is going to be running, and of course we are going to see its fruits, and Ugandans will be proud at the end of the day. Now that is what is happening in KCCA. Miss Dorothy Chisaka is actually doing a very, very tremendous and great job. Now let's cross over to Rakai. It is unfortunate news from Rakai. Over 2 teenagers were killed yesterday by a hippopotamus. Bajita mvubu webangambe ntine yebera mvubu hippopotamus olunaku lweggulo, in fact olunaku lwa Sunday, abavubuka babiri batiddwa nga baliibwa envubu. Hippopotamus actually killed these young people in Rakai district. Now the people of Rakai are crying out to the government that, you know what, we need help at the end of the day because we need to be protected. Remember I told you about the crocodiles that were ravaging Buvuma? Now in Rakai, people are being ravaged by the hippopotamuses. Where is the Uganda Wildlife Authority? Because these are some of the things that you actually have to be working upon. The names of those include Mr. Charles, let me see. Yeah, the name is Mr. Henry Mawanda and Mugabe. These are the people that were actually killed by the hippopotamus. They were 16-year-old boys, and it's really saddening at the end of the day to have young people lose their lives, 16-year-olds, and lose their lives in such a bizarre manner. Hippopotamuses ravaging the people of Rakai districts. For all the people that are responsible, the Uganda Revenue Authority, the Uganda Wildlife Authority, please let's go and try to help these young people and help this community in Rakai district to be safe and free from these particular hippopotamuses. Now, in other news, let's talk about Mr. Sobi. You remember Sobi? Sobi was a notorious, let me say, a notorious gentleman known for mugging Ugandans. Omwami ono Sobi bali mundoza mumujukira nnyo mu bigambo byali bigambibwa nti no yali atta abantu naye we yamala omwami kaka bagenda yasobola okubanga mu assimilating ne yegata ku iso yali omusajja lukule. By the way, it's on record. Sobi said he used to kill various Ugandans. So Sobi yesterday was arrested as well for trying to to raid a village. Now there is a village in Nankwade in Chilekabira. There is a bit of land wrangles here and there. So Sobi and a group of goons, I'm going to reiterate this because that is how the people actually described him, that a group of goons and Sobi went to a village in Nakwade in Chilekabira, and all they wanted is to, take up a farm that belongs to another individual because of a land dispute, because waliwo ebuzibu bw'ettaka nga mubimanyi eby'ettaka kati badde baagala kufensinga farm ya omwami omu eyakubidde police n'agigamba bannange bandi bubi eno. They are using the court does not know about this. It is just some individual who is having a challenge with another individual and then sending them goons represented by Sobi or led by Sobi to actually fence and threaten the people in that community in Nakwade in Chilekabira, because of course he's Sobi and many people fear him. So in this regard, the police, according to Mr. Luko Wesigire, the police went and has arrested this gentleman, and he says he's not sure if this gentleman is still actually working with ISO, though time back during Kaka Bajenda's regime, we remember that he was assimilated into ISO. So Mr. Luko Wesigire did not actually clarify if he's still, because I think he's also not yet sure if Mr. Sobi is part of ISO, but he is doing outrageous acts in Nakwade, trying to take over farms that belong to other individuals. Without you can take up the farm, but you can take it up in a legal or in a legalized manner at the end of the day, in a legalized community. Because these things, at the end of the day, we are leaving them here, Ugandans. Ebintu bino bireme tumalamu because ebintu byansi. So ogenda teno tankolwani yettaka olaba abantu oluusi ng'ekimulwana abalwanira lusalo. These are some of the things I think that we should overlook. Me as Edgar, this is an ideology that I believe in, because bino ebintu byansi fena tubirekawo tubisanga ate tubirekawo tebikuttisa tebikuletisa bayaya ate batandike kuchunya abantu ebintu ebyo bitazimba ggwanga lyaffe. Let us live in a harmonious environment so that we can all develop and thrive at the end of the day. Ndozago ge mawulire agasinga getulina gadde gatambule nnyo okujjako ekiri mu Sudan, ndoza nkibagambyeko mu Khartoum, wetwadde tutandika nakibagambye nti abantu batandise okubanga beekalakasa bagamba bano bannamagye abakwata obuyinza ate nabo tebabaagala. That brings me to a question. What do people want? You said Omar al-Bashir had been in power for 29 years. His own army ousted him, and when it ousted him, you were happy. Esanyu twalira bali abugana mu Sudan. Kati waise emyezi teginawera na mukaaga ate kati mutandise okwechanga nti ate n'abawamba temubaagala. Gwe kiki mwagala? What do you want? Because change of arms is something very difficult. That's why I always ask people questions here as the opposition. Are you ready to take power? Because many of us would love to have a change of guard, but are we ready to sustain that change of guard? Tusobola okubanga to sustaining enkyukakyuka eyo, because kati kyekiri mu Sudan, and it has happened, by the way, in countries where we've had coups. And those are more ekiri Guinea Conakry. Same story, that you say you want to lose leadership, right? But what kind of leadership are you bringing in place? That's why we always ask the tough questions. What are your alternative ideas? Ngafe alternative Uganda, tubabuza, what are your alternative ideas? What are your alternative ideologies that we should follow? Chiche chipya ky'oleeta oli omukulembeze abaddewo ky'atalina mu kifo ky'okwogera agende what else are you bringing to the table? What are the solutions? What are the working solutions? Because over time, these problems have happened in Zimbabwe, it has happened in Egypt, they have happened in Tunisia, in Algeria. Bakyusa, yes, okukyusa obuyinza kubaddewo. Naye kiki ky'oleese, onaasobola okukyukakyuka kuba musibira mu bbwa abadde bakufuga, ng'oleeta kiki nkola kyempya gy'oleeta eri fundamental esobola okukyusa engeri ebintu gye bikolebwamu. Kyekizibu ekiri ne mu Sudan saawa zino, ni kyennyini kyekyali ne mu South Sudan yennyini nti tukwata obuyinza naye tuba tetwetegekedde buyinza obanga gwe baguddeko obukwi ne bagamba entebe yiyo ogifunye nawe ne weekanga bwekanzi. So these are some of the things for our opposition cadres, people who believe that Uganda is going to be safe if the opposition is going to be if Uganda is going to be safe if the opposition comes into power. What agenda do you have as the opposition of Uganda? Not just speaking, but actually showing bwino tukuse bwino tusobole okubanga twekulakulanya. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to go in for a short commercial break, but when we come back, Rogers Tulyahabwe is going to be here with some students to banyumye mukumbozi how best can we change the education sector in this country. So Rogers Tulyahabwe is going to be taking over the mantle. Allow me go in for a short commercial break. Nita Jury is here, Nita Msimenta, she's here, and of course Arnold Mukose is here. Jeremiah Mchibi, thank you so much, and Teddy Tenzio Nabukera, thank you. That is the crew that makes sure that you watch these things live and get in-depth information. So let's go in for a short commercial break. Rogers Tulyahabwe is here. Good morning.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba amasannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digitalk Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segal.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digitalk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Digitalk, real issues, real talk.
Jembadde itaita nsanza abasajja nga bagamba lwaki bala batukula Farida lwaki mukula abasajja
omusajja baba tebamukudde asanyuka busanyusi n'akuwa ssente kati bw'alaba nga tafunye kyayagala n'alowooza mbu wamukudde aba yazikuwadde oba tewamukudde.
Okay, Lydian, lwaki mwagala abasajja abakulu?
Nabo batwagala naye fetubagala lwakuba tubategekera future.
Okay, tutegekera future wakiise. For more insightful topics, yes, keep it the Alternative Digitalk, real issues, real talk. Remember, Snap Talk airs every Saturday right from 6 to 7 with your girl Teddy Tenjo, but I never come alone. I come with the two beautiful girls.
Lilian Luwede, the princess.
Meanwhile, we have a new home. I'm super excited. What do you think of our new home, Farida?
I love it.
I just love everything.
Yes, let's keep it the Alternative Digitalk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digitalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digitalk. Digitalk, the way to go.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Yet again, it's a Monday morning, or rather a Friday, Thursday, forgive me. My name is Rogers Tulyahabwe. I'm here with a mighty drive yet again. Thank you, Edgar Matthew, for the updates and for keeping us woke, for updating us and telling us how to be woke in times like these. We've had bombings and explosions here and there, but you know, we have people encouraging us every now and then, telling us this is what you should be doing, this is where I should be going. And in times like this, of course, check on another person. President Kyagulanyi yabagamba buli muntu akwate ku munne. I think this is the time that every person should touch on another. Buli omu agumye munne twekwateko tutambule wamu. So today morning, we are going to be talking about generally young people. I have young people in studios with me today, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, but of course, as it goes, ladies first. I'll begin with the lady.
Good morning to everybody watching this show. My name is Belinda Amanya. I'm a senior 6 vacist as at Waranyanji Girls, and I'm glad to be here. Oh, and what I had forgotten is that I am a member of Africa Kwetu Students Organization.
Okay, you're welcome, Belinda. That's a good introduction. She's one girl with 2 gentlemen. That's another work. Eric.
Good morning to all viewers. I am Chiza Eric, a student at Mbara School. I'm supposed to be in senior 6, but due to COVID-19, I'm still in senior 5.
Shadia.
Oh, you're still actually in school?
Yes.
So I've been in senior 5 for 3 years now? Yes. Okay, that's so bad. Gentlemen.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Mugara Philip, Mbara High School, doing history, entrepreneurship and divinity, and I'm a member of Africa Kwetu Students Organization. Due to long time in Form 5, for me I think that we graduated and now we are working under Africa Kwetu.
Oh, you graduated yourselves from high school. So now you're no longer students. So it's nice to have all of you guys. It's a good thing and a serious work you people are doing. So we have one lady who has just left high school and the 2 gentlemen who are still in high school for more than they should be. How has that affected you? The way the education, the COVID-19 and all?
Some extent has affected us negatively. Our dreams, some of us have been shattered. Our careers. We have lost hope in education. We have lost interest. So it has really had a negative impact on our lives as students. Of course, we are talking about the career, the other factors. We have been affected in different several ways. Young boys, our colleagues,
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digitalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digitalk. Digitalk, the way to go.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
All right, welcome back. Forgive us for that little, we have machines. We use machines so they can get, distracted along the way. Here and there we've had just some simple glitches, but it is okay, we are back. And we're going to be continuing from right exactly where he was. He was telling us how the COVID has been affecting them as students, as young people, what they have faced, what their colleagues have actually faced. Some of them have drifted off from their dreams. Others are using drugs, others have left really the focus on things they actually should be doing and what they were intending to be doing. So he will continue from there. He will tell us how this has affected them, and then we'll move on to the lady.
Okay. So I was saying that it has affected us in different ways. We have been used to a system whereby we are always occupied by academic work, but now finding ourselves out of schools for more than 1 year or almost 2 years, we find it challenging. We find we have talked about drug abuse, which has resulted into other vices like early marriages, teenage pregnancies, and very many others, which have made us lose interest. Even if now the schools reopen, I don't think each and every student is going back.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have had young people, especially you talked about teenage pregnancies, we have had a lot of that. We have had 12-year kids giving birth to their fellow kids. We have had people drift away. We have had young ladies being married forcefully, of course, because, in the lockdown, some people didn't have what to eat and all that. And it has technically changed the whole society setting. And a lot of people are suffering. So I'll ask a lady, as a young girl, we have had that problem of teenage pregnancy this whole period. It has affected you guys especially. How did this affect you?
So I would like to say that COVID has brought two things, the bad and the good, depending on probably how you perceived it or how you took it or how you thought about it. Now, starting with the bad, I'd like to say, I think back then we still had these challenges of teenage pregnancies and and early marriages. But when education came into the picture, it somehow helped to curb down the early marriages and the teenage pregnancies because the girls were being occupied. There's school for us, so we were being mentored, occupied, so we had less time to be into society and be affected by things like teenage pregnancy and early marriages because we were ever busy and occupied. We were dreaming and shooting high there because, I want to be like Kadaga, I want to be like this. But when COVID came in and school was normal, we sat home and the whole picture became vague. The picture of the future, the picture of education. And so we fell culprit to the people in society who are actually, should we term them as the Bible calls them, the wolves, as they normally tell us in churches. So the wolves were there waiting, and because most of the girls fell culprit. You're staying home, your parents are financially incapable to a certain extent. He's promising to give you something, you want to look good like the other girls. And so because of such compromising situations, many girls gave in and are currently teenage mothers. And because I happened to visit, I think it was Wakisa home, and we realized there's so many young girls, as you said. There's a girl of 13 and she was, I think, 4 months pregnant. There's so many girls you get to share. I happen to also be part of Uganda Gallup as a vice president. But we talk to young girls and you get to realize that there were reasons. It is not just because they wanted to behave in such a way, but there are conditions that forced them there. But then on the other hand, when we talk about the positive bit, I'd like to say that personally, I think I have attained positivity, or I have seen positivity with COVID. Yes, school was interfered with, but this period helped me understand what I can do and what I'm good at. Because I think it also relates to where I position myself. I found myself in a community of people, especially online, people that were ready to groom me, to mentor me, and to shape me. And so as a girl child, I got to realize, oh, if I'm talented in speech, and I engaged in probably the speech tournaments or the debate tournaments that we're having online, I'm becoming a better speaker. If I can do this, if I can learn how to write, or if I can get into a group of writers, I'm going to pick up the writing skill. And so many things like those have helped me as a girl child to improve myself and to get empowered. So I do think that COVID came with, yes, two effects, positive and negative, depending on where you are, how you perceived it, and the lessons you decided to pick from it. Those that thought about making themselves better have. And those that took it as a problem and as a challenge and as a setback and accepted it to clog their minds, they've been held back by so many challenges. But I do believe we still have hope and we can still get back online if probably the government could help us open the schools and we get back to school.
Okay, this is the first time we've had someone say that COVID has had a positive impact on their life.
Actually,
it's the first time I've had someone say that. Most of the people have said, they say our families have, fallen short, our parents are unable to look out after us. Our young kids have now become defiant because you have overstayed with a parent, you have probably grown and you're, the same height. You're fighting every now and then. Are you had something to say?
Yes, adding on to what she has said, I still think that largely it has had a negative impact because somehow it has the rate to which the girl child education has been promoted is the same rate to which now the girl child has
sunk back.
Yes. So we're looking to the extent, to the rate at which early marriages are taking place and teenage pregnancies. So that effort that has been made towards girl child education is to some extent in vain.
Okay.
Yes.
So either way it projects on girls, especially for the teenage pregnancies. I don't really think that affects young boys and,
But I do think they've also been affected to an extent that they are home, others have found themselves becoming fathers at a young age and they have to take up the responsibility.
Do they really take up that responsibility?
Some are forced to.
Let me hear from the gentleman. How has COVID affected you as an individual?
As an individual?
As a young person, yes.
I have to say it has delayed my education, but some positive side of it is that really this time of COVID has made some people become think tanks, like coming up with some strong ideas that will build our future.
That's right.
Like Africa Kwetu Students Organization, we realized we used this time to develop ideas that will really build up Africa tomorrow. So in school, I would say we lost the time to engage in debates, engage in seminars to discuss these issues, but from home you really look at the true image in the villages, how people are getting affected, and then you come up with the solutions. That's why we can engage with leaders, society leaders, and then we come up with right ways to solve the issues. Because even without COVID, children were not studying. People were getting distracted. But as those who have got a chance to go to school, and then we got this interruption of COVID, and then we got our societies, and then we associate with those people who have been there not going to school. So we see the issues affecting them, and then we come up when we go back to school, or when we get society leaders, we discuss with them how to solve everything. If government can take it, that they use this chance of closing school, and then when we are getting back, every child of school-going age should go to school. It should work like a campaign, because those who have managed to get school fees, they study, but along the way we leave others at home, and which is very disheartening to the global growing world. So if government use this chance of January, and every child of school-going age goes to school, really it will work for Africa.
Okay. Speaking of innovations, especially in the pandemics, we have had some great young people have, come out to provide solutions. We had the Malalas, the Pakistani girl who is advocating, she's still doing that. She established the Malala Fund for education of the girl child, because in Pakistan, it's one of those countries that has had wars every now and then, one after another. And of course, every government that comes up, it comes with their rules. So at the time, when she was there, they were saying there's no education for the girl child. And she came up and she has really helped. She has, improved that kind of thing. So in this same pandemic, you guys come up with the Africa Kwetu Students Organization. Our people out there, every Ugandan and young people to be specific, want to know what Africa Kwetu is, how it's going to be helping them. What is the whole idea behind Africa Kwetu?
So Africa Kwetu Students Organization is a students-founded and oriented movement that is with an ultimate objective of mobilizing for East African youth unity, to maintain cordial relationship amongst students or the youth of East African community member states, to raise a united youth patriotic generation that is disciplined, self-reliant, hardworking for both national and regional development, and of course in the long run advocating for East Africa's political and economic integration. Maybe I don't want to take it up all. The rest will
begin from there.
Yes.
That's a serious one. So you're actually trying to raise patriotic generation, and not just for Uganda, but for East Africa.
For East Africa.
Okay. Belinda, what?
So, in addition to what Eric has said, we do believe that with proper mentorship, allow me to copies or borrow something from our president. We're bringing in proverbs. In my language, we say, akati kin kwakachirkat. You cannot bend a tree when it is old. When it has already grown, then you need to find it at its tender edge, and then you could probably bend it or make it take the direction you'd want it to take. So as young people, we do believe that if we could groom ourselves for the future, because if the 21st century, or if the years to come, if the future is further prepared, then we believe that as young people, we need to be nurtured, we need to develop principles and ideologies that are going to prepare us and model us for the future. And so when we come up with Africa Kwetu, we are looking at a patriotic generation that is disciplined. Patriotic in the sense that you look beyond tribe. You do not think just as a tribe, because I'm a Muganda, it ends there, me and my fellow Waganda. No, we are saying if it is patriotism, then you're going to look beyond your tribe, beyond the region of central region only, or western or eastern. We are saying we can look further, stretch to other parts of Uganda, and not only be limited by Uganda, but also become, should I call it, I don't know now what to term it, because we are looking at East Africa, but to gain that spirit that unites us, because we do believe that we the people make these countries, we the people make East Africa. East Africa is not the countries, but it is the people. And we being a young generation, we believe that if we can become united, if we can become patriotic and disciplined, guided by certain principles, then we would be having a better East Africa, an East Africa where people reason together, where people come up with solutions. And by this, for us as Africa Kwetu students organization, we say it should start with, if possible, the senior ones from secondary schools, than us finding it later at university when we are somehow corrupted and have been exposed to a certain mindset and a certain society. But when we start with high school, then they are bringing up this spirit and growing it in us. And by the time we get there, we can easily relate with East Africa, and we know the importance of having a united East Africa, a groomed one, a disciplined one, a united East Africa for common goals, and we could see development in our region, East Africa.
Speaking of patriotism, you guys are trying to say that young people are not patriotic.
No, they're not.
I want to hear from this gentleman.
Yes, at large, young people are not patriotic.
How so?
Self-centered.
Let me say, you know, like you look at youth, their mind tells them that when I do this, without patriotic values, like when I get an office, I will get a bribe and then ride the Range Rover.
Benz, that's right.
A Benz. But our organization as Africa Kwetu, it's start with the young, right from primary. Inculcate values in them that they will see these worldly things as just mere.
As just resources.
As just resources. But develop individual discipline that really, in future, there will not be such kind of chaos of property, chaos of what, but they will be true citizens that will grow to generations which really we want. Because now the problem affecting us is we want to have individual selfishness, which will not help us.
That's right.
So patriotic values really matter a lot to an individual. You grow as a person of integrity. Because if we don't have knowledge to manage our society, then we are going nowhere.
We are headed for doom. That's
we are headed for doom.
So basically, what you guys are doing is that you are trying to get the youth together. Tell them that, look, we have this kind of society and we want to steer it in a certain direction. But we need ABCD principles to get there.
Yes.
But part of what you're doing requires, you know, some kind of working together with like governments. You work with institutions that are actually where these kids are, education, for example. You're going to go to schools, you're going to go to universities. You need leaders on board. Have you guys looked at that? Or have you, especially now looking at the fact that you're looking at East Africa as a region.
Yes.
Now that is actually an extra work. You're going to have to go to Kenya, you're going to go to South Sudan. You're going to have to talk to the government of South Sudan, tell them, look, we need this kind of generation, and to nurture that, we need ABCD values. How are you getting these leaders on board?
So, before I respond to your question, I need first talk about what have been the united patriotic generation that you are talking about, that is disciplined. Discipline has, there are two types of discipline, social discipline and financial discipline. When we look at financial discipline, it has largely been destroyed.
If it's there anyway.
Everyone is, in every office, corruption is in a higher rate. Of recent, I was seeing that every year we rose, is it every year that we rose 20 trillion?
To corruption?
To corruption.
Okay, and embezzlement.
Exactly. Corruption is one of the factors that are delaying East Africa's integration. Okay. So we need, before we look at the South Sudan, before we look at Kenya, we need first to look at our own Uganda. How is our discipline as a young generation, our financial discipline? So, and when we look at corruption, corruption is something that does not build nations. It doesn't. It is something that cheats people of what they deserve. So that's what we are condemning first within our own nation. so that by the same time we plan of dining on the same integration table with Tanzania and Kenya, so that we have got clean hands. We are pure. You understand?
Yes.
So, and going to the question that you've asked me, of recent we met the East African Community Minister,
yes.
Right Honorable Mama Kadag, and she's willing to pick us up, her office is willing to pick us up, to partner with us, so that we can have our programs supported in different ways as a ministry, because I think it is one of its duties to support us.
So using the East African, it's one, actually you guys are strategic. You go to the Minister of East African Region Integration,
yes,
so that if there is something that needs to be communicated to other countries that you may not be able to reach in time,
yes,
she is able to communicate.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's strategic. So apart, we have seen that is basically one ministry. I think I've seen you guys meet Eli Tumwini, something like that, if I'm not mistaken, as if you guys have met him.
Yes.
But how are you getting to schools, for example? How are you getting to convince these schools and tell them, look, this is what we need? And part of what you're doing is, are you looking at curriculum change so that these principles are maybe put in the education curriculum and system so that they are compulsory, that someone is going, by the time they at least leave school, they have a certain set of principles that is going to be governing what they're going to be doing?
Okay, so I think I'll take up that. Now, allow me to start by saying that without guidance or mentorship, a nation falls, or a great team could be brought down because they lack guidance. So one of the first steps we took as Africa Kwetu is to reach out to our elders in society, especially those in Uganda, to see that we seek right guidance and moral guidance, support in different ways so that we could push this and also develop ideas. Now, as Africa Kwetu, we have strategies or we have plans. Now, when we talk about the schools, how we are reaching out to schools, we are saying that, okay, because currently, because of lockdown and all of that, we started by getting groups, different students from different schools. So we try to mobilize them, get them into our group, speak to them, tell them the ideas we have, share with them the ideas we have. Because when we look at our action plan as Africa Kwetu, we are saying that clubs should be instilled in schools. And these clubs, but not clubs for the sake of having clubs, but these clubs should be active. These clubs should have patrons. And if possible, each school should have specific days that are attributed to clubs so that these clubs could gain relevancy, because there are schools in Uganda that only look at education. You only came here to excel academically, full stop. And so when you find this is all about books, 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 even when the clubs are there, you're having a debate club for the sake of, we have a debate club. You're having this, but it is ending there. But as Africa Kwetu, we are saying they need to become active. We need these clubs to go to the schools, and they should be taken up by students, and they should have club activities like debates, like conversations, like talk shows, things like those. And on the other hand, we look at patriotism being a major thing for youth, because personally at the school I was at, I attended the patriotism camp. And the lessons that I picked from there shaped me, because they brought us speakers that were, telling us about loving Uganda, being patriotic, this and that. And I felt like it was a responsibility for me to become relevant in Uganda. It was on me to carry or to share the burdens of Uganda, because Uganda is we the people, and not the country or not the government, but we the people. And so as Africa Kwetu, we believe that if patriotism is made compulsory to every school, and if these values, because when we talk about patriotism, there are values that we are taught. Values like integrity, honesty, God-fearing, and all those things. So if it can become a mandate that every school and for every student should take part in patriotism, then we do believe that in these patriotism camps that are brought to schools, then we believe that that is more of molding. And on the other hand, we are looking at writing a magazine. We do believe that young people are talented in writing. They're also good at reading, those that have managed to read, those that have managed to groom that reading culture. And so we're coming up with a magazine that entails information or letters from different people in Uganda, those that we believe have stories to share, or those that we have reached out to and have a word or two to say to the youths. And so we keep collecting this information, writing it down, and we are compiling a magazine which we do believe each school should at least get a copy, read through, pick a device, pick mentorship, because many other times when we are mentored by the books we read or videos that we watch on YouTube, you've never met someone, but you always follow their videos, the books they wrote, and you feel helped. And so we're looking at writing. And more to that, we are looking at more activities like having annual debates, annual speech competitions, annual essay writing competitions. Because you see, as youths, you need to look out for, you need to, I think, target what their points of interest. When you put up a competition and tell them there is a prize at the end, some people may look at the prize, but our major emphasis is looking at the process. The process of you forming that speech, you're building something within you. You might not be seeing it, but you're building certain ideas because you're going to research, borrow this, borrow that to make your speech appealing. If you're writing an essay, you're going to read different references, points of references, and by that, you're being groomed, you're developing ideologies and ideas that are going to build the nation and build East Africa. And so those are some of the things we are coming up. We're also looking at probably drama, MDD competitions that are in line with East African unification. If we have talented youths, then they should be able to come up with songs, with poems, plays that are all in line with that. So we are trying to see that we use the talent that these young people have and see that we bring them to this effort. We carry every talent and see that it is directed to attaining unity in East Africa.
Okay, that is Belinda right there telling you what exactly we need to be doing. Patriotism is one thing that is hard to build. And so when we come back in the next hour, we're going to look at how do we get these people to actually get interested in those kind of ideas. We are looking at grooming young people, we're grooming a generation that is looking up at the country and looking at the future of it, of course, because if we want a future generation that, and a country that is accountable, that is working for the people, we need the principles, we need the values in the community, and that comes with building them from the ground up. That is a good thing. So when we come back, we'll build up on that, and then how people maybe can start engaging in decisions, because as big as the stakeholders, especially in politics, Uganda in particular, young people need to be on the decision-making table. So when we come to that, these young leaders, I want to call them young leaders because what they're doing is amazing out there. They are going to be telling us, maybe giving us ideas on how we can make that work, and maybe for the education system, because what they're doing also works with rescheduling the education system, making sure that it actually works and it is putting up principles that are up to date, because we are having curriculums that have been there for 50 or 40 or something, so yes. So which is not really responsive to things that we are facing in the society today. So we're going to go in for a short commercial break. In the next hour, you should be able to call in, ask your questions if you have. You can always also type in your question on our social media platform. The Facebook Live, you can type in your question, we'll be reading it out. Or you can call in, I'll read you the numbers in the second hour. Let's go in for a short commercial break, we'll be right back.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. with our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugenda mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop, and smart TVs. As we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the alternative Digitalk.
The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Very welcome back from that short commercial break. It was really short. We are still with young people. We are talking about how to get, principled generation, to get one that's going to work for, for a future of countries, Uganda in particular, and East Africa and the continent. The world needs young people. They have done their contribution, but they're also big stakeholders. So their involvement in decision making and a lot of those issues is so much paramount, because they're the biggest beneficiaries at the end of the day. So with me is Eric, Belinda, and Philip, and they are going to give us the ideas on how to get young people especially to engage in governance issues. When we're going, I wanted to ask how you guys are looking at making sure that these people are made patriotic. Okay, we have those clubs in schools, but are young people really receptive to that? Are they really interested in doing that kind of thing? We have debates, but in a school of 5,000 students, you'll find 50 of them only in debates. So how do we get the other 4,500 or something like that on board so that we develop a whole community of engaged young people? I'll begin with Eric.
Thank you. These clubs, we are looking at patriotism clubs and very many other clubs that are always in school. But most of the time, they have not been effective. They have not been effective because most of the schools tend to concentrate more on academic work than anything else. Yes, we need grades, but then what are they going to produce if we don't have the patriotic principles and values within ourselves? So these clubs have been in place. So what is missing maybe is patronage, supervision that has not been taken into place seriously. If the leaders of these institutions, or because regarding looking at this new curriculum that has been brought, maybe we have hope that these patriotic values and principles will be inculcated, because time has been created to focus on handwork and even to have those debates, patriotic movements, shows, they have been given time. So maybe you have hope in this curriculum that has been put into place that at least something will change and we shall have a patriotic youth generation.
Okay, talking about patriotism and that kind of stuff, you talk about also the curriculum that's going to be changing, which we hope that they put up those values. Have you guys reached out to these people to say that maybe as you develop the curriculum, you should think about ABCD issues, for example, the ones you represent, because they are serious issues that we actually need. So have you reached out to some of these people who are making those policies to be able to get some of these values in there?
Now, I would like to make a comment and say that there's a certain way things move. You know, sometimes there are probably bureaucracy and probably steps you need to take before you get here and there. And so sometimes it becomes hard because if I know that I'm going to come to you and you're then in charge of this, and then I have to first go through these channels to get to you, it gets a little bit complicated. But what Honorable Rebecca Kadaga helped us with is that she took in our proposal. We told her our action plan and all we wanted to do, and they promised support. With support, they are also looked at helping us reach out to those ministries. Because one of the problems we are facing is you write these letters to reach out to these ministries, to these people, but they are never responded. Or they tell you, check on us next time, come at this time. You spend the whole day seated in the waiting rooms at those benches. You wait for the whole day, and at the end of it all, they tell you, come back the next day. And yet we are students. So somehow we are getting those challenges, but we have tried to reach out to people we believe that can help us push out this. And then tackling something else, as you had talked about, involving the youths and engaging them into patriotism. Now, I've been a student for the past years, and I'm still a student. But one thing about us students is that when you want them to do something, then when you give them the gap, when you give them the leadership and make them feel the leadership, then they fit in and want to do things that are really in line with what you have given them. Now, about patriotism, it has had inconsistencies. When I look at my school, we last had the patriotism camp, I think in my senior 1, and then later in my senior 5, it is when we had it again. But where it became a little bit hard because it was a girls' school, was when we had to wake up very early in the morning at around 4 for the morning drills and all those things. They felt uncomfortable because that was the time probably I'm preparing to go for prep, sit and read that kind of dormant style, but they're telling you, you're waking up at 4, the whistles are blowing, you need to have your ears on the ground. Even when you're asleep, you must know it is time for the whistle, it has blown, I have to run to the pitch. If we are all foreigning, then I have to all fall in like all the rest to make the lines do this. There's a certain orderliness they are bringing in us that somehow we did not realize it. Some of these things I did not get to understand them until I tried to pay keen attention and realize that they're teaching me to work as a team. That is why I'm being paired in these groups. I am being taught to be orderly, to work on time, because I'm going to tell you, we want you here by this time, you're supposed to be there. They are teaching me leadership skills. I remember I led the troop of 1,000 as a guard commander. And this man would tell you, you need to monitor all these people. As a leader, you must be knowing the people you're leading. Know them by name, know your fellow this and this, know the movements, direct them here, give them direction here and there. And those were things I was learning on a personal basis because I paid attention to them. And so, yes, and even other things, like the talks, you know, we would go for these talks and lectures, they keep talking and talking, people are not minding. But those that paid keen attention took it up and got the lessons, and their lives were transformed. Because since then, I started seeing things in a different way. Different ideologies and principles were built in me because I paid attention. So at a certain point, it starts with grooming. How have you been groomed? Have the schools we have been to groomed us to be people that pay attention to these things, or they've only told us that education is the key to success, and by education being the key to success, it is me sitting on these books reading, and not reading books that expand my knowledge about other things, but only books that are limited to chemistry, to economics, to biology, things that are going to appear in the examination. At a point, these schools are training us to pass examinations and not excel in other fields. But if these things have been placed in schools, or if schools have helped us find value, find relevancy in talks, find values in talent, then you're going to embrace them. When we look at the debates, I do believe that my presence in a debate room, even when I'm not speaking, I'm probably contributing or I am learning. So if I'm not on the panel of the debaters that are speaking, I'm seated and watching, and these arguments build in my head. Because even when you're not a person who is interested in debating, or you're not a debate judge, you'll sit in a debate room and look at these people argue out points, and if you're a person who picks up things quickly, there's something that is triggered in you, and you get to realize, no, I think this one's case has a problem here, this one's case is not fine here, and the debate starts to grow in your mind. So in these schools, we have people that are directly active and others are indirectly benefiting from these clubs. So in a school of 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 students, that is where we're saying different things should be brought in. If we are good at sports, if I'm a sports girl, then bring these things into the sports arena too. Try to probably say this tournament is in line with this. If it is teamwork and I'm at the pitch, let me look at it as teamwork, as a team working together. And in the future, I'm going to know that I'll have to be on time, work as a team, pass on the ball to this one. So if we can be trained, or if we can be reminded to seek out relevance in the different things we do, to look for intention in the different things we involve ourselves in. As young people, I do believe we could pick purpose and we could get involved in the writing, in the speaking, and in the different clubs, and we could make them useful.
So part of nurturing, as I come to you, I want to add this to what you want to add. As part of nurturing, you see, is easier done through some kind of talent.
Yes.
That if you want maybe a principal leader, chances are that you want someone who appreciates the work of teamwork. You know, it is important that if we are going to do something, we need to work together. If it's maybe in future going to be in government, you'll be heading a certain ministry. So you'll know that you need to work all the people that are in that ministry for you to be able to achieve and deliver results. So are the talents really that given priority in schools? Because, you know, some of them will be like, for us, what we do and what we care about is academic excellence. So how do we make sure that the talents are really put up, they are looked at as an issue and as an entry point, especially to nurturing and promoting this kind of patriotism that you want to bring up? I'll ask Philip.
God created us with different talents. We must respect our individual nature. Because nature has it that one will be a carpenter, one will be a pilot, one will be a driver, one will be a leader. So it's injustice to force someone to study biology when he wants to be like a politician. It's injustice.
Injustice.
With mathematics, it's not helping us.
If one wants to be a leader, teach him history, teach him all those art subjects, right from primary.
That's geography, Vancouver Port, Canadian prairies.
Cotton belt.
I quote Nyerere would say, if you are a sweeper, sweep well. If you are a driver, drive well. So let's have discipline and patriotic values to drive our nature. It's not, we should not keep in school to get pumped with books, and then after all, the mind, what will be in our mind is that time wasted in school, let's use it first in whatever means, and then we'll be rich. So as Africa Kwetu, it's our role is to, right from primary, start with those children, give them values. If they are going to have...
Okay, we have a caller on the line.
Hello, good morning. This is Moligira from Nasana.
Okay, good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rogers, and the students in the room. It's a very, very good initiative that they are doing. First of all, AXO is something I realized today, and I'm saying it's a very, very good idea. And I also want to comment on the issue of patriotism. Something that will build our country if we are patriotic enough to teach the future generation to love their country, which is something that is lacking, and I would like to agree with the students who are in studios. But then I have a quick question for any of them. First of all, you talked about the student curriculum. What do these students want? What do they want to see in their curriculum at the end of the day? Because it should be them to also start initiating the conversation and say, hey, we are in a .com era, this is what we want, and this is, if we are taught this, it will resonate with what we believe in. So maybe they can talk about that. What do they actually want? And is AXO also doing something about these students that have dropped out of school because of, pregnancies? Because we've seen during the lockdown and over the last 19 months, many students have dropped out of school because of, early pregnancies. So is there anything, or are there some things that they are doing maybe to bring these young women back to school, or something, like any initiative that they are doing or they are leading to help their fellow students in battling with such challenges? So I'll be glad if that is answered. My name is Morigira from Nansana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Monigira, I think, from Nansana. And thank you for tuning in on the Mighty Drive. We are so appreciative. And every one of you that was with us, making a date every day, coming up and listening in and contributing to the building of this nation and this world. We don't take that for granted, especially in times like this where data is so expensive. You being here every day and live streaming and watching us and contributing in every single way, we appreciate. Thank you so much. So Philip was finishing up. He was still talking about, complimenting about Belinda was saying about what you guys are doing and all. The caller is asking, what do you guys really want to see in the curriculum?
Thank you. We want to see programs which favor students. If it's time for MDD, let them go for MDD. If it's time for basketball, let them go to play basketball. But don't say that, we have a few time we are going to do exams, so let's not go to the basketball to play basketball. Children have talents. If you concentrate on basketball, yes, there is time for reading, but don't encroach on the time for basketball and then you say that we want to pass. No, you are affecting someone's career.
That's true.
If it's time for swimming, let them go for swimming. You're going to produce good swimmers. After let them respect the timetable. If it's time for mathematics, they study. After break, if there is PE, they go for PE, and then you pick people with talents. That's how the world will grow.
Okay.
But forcing children what is not in their blood, what they don't want to pursue, it's injustice.
And it's wasting their time, that's right.
Yes.
So let me first go to the lady first. I wanted to talk about what the caller said. What do you guys want to really say? And on top of that, when you were talking about you guys doing a magazine. So a magazine is something that's probably, it's digital, I want to believe. It's not like physical.
It's two-way. We
It's
have the
two-way?
digital
okay,
and
you have this one also.
Yes.
So my question was I wanted to just ask you about because that's an issue of passion versus affordability. We have someone who is deep down in, those areas in Kabong or something like that. How are they going to be inclusive in this kind of thing? How are they really reached out? First of all, the internet is not one of those things that's not their friend. And the penetration, of course, newspapers are not usually really deep down there. So how do you make sure they're also benefiting from that? You'll begin with what the callers are asked, and then we'll go to the passion.
Thank you very much. Now, going to what the caller asked, what do we want? Now, that is a very beautiful and lovely question. Number one, I would like to say that we want to see ourselves being groomed not only to pass examinations. By examinations, I mean these national examinations that have been set by the National Examination Board. But we want to leave these schools with value addition. Not to the fact that you can give me this test and I pass it, but as a person, there should be things that have been added to me. My talents should have been nurtured because I'm spending so much of my time at this school. By the time I'm moving out of this school, I should be able to do something. Now, a case in point is of late, someone asked me a question and he told me, given restriction to the literature, economics, divinity, sub-mathematics, and maybe general paper that you did, given limitation to that, what have you managed to do for your society? How relevant have you been to society? Or if you're to pick, you're not, how applicable or relevant are they currently to society? And to an extent, I felt victimized. I felt like, I felt challenged because, to be honest, if I'm to be restricted to that much time I devoted to these books and all these things and I'm brought out, I may not have relevance to society. And now when we look at these teenage, for example, the teenage mothers that have gotten pregnant, maybe at around senior 3, now my question, because currently, personally, I'm coming up with a campaign of what next for the teenage mothers. Because we are saying that if I've dropped out at senior 3 level, I've become a teenage mother, what am I going to do? What can I do to become better? Do I have the mind to push me, or I'm going to be locked down like life has ended here? So when we go back to what do we want an education system that is diversified. You see, lockdown or COVID has opened our minds to the fact that we need to be computer literate. We need to learn to do things online. We need to learn to become digital in many aspects. So you realize that if you're used to physical ways of doing things, you need to now apply some literacy of the computer. You need to learn these skills that are in line with probably internet and computer.
In a digital era.
In a digital era, which these schools are not providing. So if we are to go back to schools, then they should look at making education in a digital form better. Because I am used to a computer, I'm used to getting information from the internet, from this. So as they cater for library time, for the schools that do cater for library time, they should expose us to these, to the computer labs. Let every student have access to these computer labs for the schools that do have them. Let us be allowed to use the internet, visit YouTube, learn this, learn the other. And on the other hand, we need vigilant student leaders. Because some schools are having student leaders for the sake of, okay, every school should have a head prefect and it ends there. But if we are to ask your impact as a student leader, what have you helped your fellow students? It is next to zero. You have not really done anything. If we talk about the co-curricular activities that are helping us to groom talent, they have not been catered for. And as a student leader, you're seated in your office saying, I tried to speak to the admin, but they did not give me probably attention. But if we have vigilant student leaders who are going to stand up for their students, for their fellow students that they are representing, they should be able to stand up and say, we need time for the clubs. Why do we put these posters of clubs around the schools, yet they are inactive? Let us have time for these clubs. Let us have time for games. Let us have this. If it is reading, let me not be restricted to only reading biology and stopping there. Let me read to gain more knowledge. Let me read to gain more information about different things that are happening in the world. And yes, so basically, I do believe that if education is made diversified and not only restricted to UNEB, then they could groom us into better students. And bringing up the curriculum they're bringing up of hands-on, you can do this, I think it is a beautiful idea. Though the problem is that it's now only going to benefit the senior ones. So those that are past senior 1, the senior 2s and ongoing classes, have not had an experience to interface with such skills and are disadvantaged even with COVID. But that is a beautiful idea, and if they could get ways of stretching it to even the rest, I think it would help us, because by the time we leave schools, especially maybe secondary school or primary schools, we should be able to do something small, probably earn money or what, in line with the academics of excelling in the UNEB and all that.
Yeah, Philip seems to have something burning.
Add on what she said. Patriotism leads us to be patriotic. Like having a talent of being a leader. In school, there is a tendency of forcing someone who is the best in class to be the leader. When there is that average student who has passion to lead and is denied that chance.
Who will do better.
Who will do better. So it should be also included.
Okay. Speaking about talent, we have, before we go to the school, that they are not probably promoting talent enough. Are we, from our communities, from our homes and families, as our parents really looking into nurturing that which you want, or are they following the system and saying, look, you have to go back to school, study SST, go to secondary school, do mathematics and physics, and then go to university, and then do a certain course that obviously has to come from that direction? Are they looking at someone probably wants to be a musician, an artist?
Very few.
Are they looking at nurturing that kind of talent?
Very few parents are looking at that. Most of the parents, of course, this has been brought out by the current situation that we are in due to lockdown. Parents are asking now and then when schools are opening so that students can go back to school. The discipline has gone offline, everything. So which means they don't have the capacity to enforce that within their children. And more they are used to their children going at school, and everything is done at school. Even when the students are day scholars, they come at home, and the parents, when parents come from work, they sleep morning, so there is no time to communicate to the child. There is no time for a child to speak to the parent. If a thought is there, everyone is busy with their phone, and now there is social media. So generally, everything parents need to come out to carefully look after their children, know and provide them with career guidance and counseling where need arises. And of course, there's something I want to talk about, the education system, what I had asked. The current education system produces more job seekers than job creators. So, and after school, we find ourselves with no jobs, and we are not in position to be job creators, because we have gone through an education system that encourages for creation of jobs. So we find it challenging, and therefore we lose hope in the education system. Therefore, we want to see the education system that does not make students regret of the time they spent in school after they have left. Yes.
Okay, I want to ask about moving away from the student and all that. We are also young people, and if you're looking at East African integration, by the way, in 2013 there was a youth policy that was passed by the EAC that would cater for the youth engagement, and if in the decision making, in the youth programs with East Africa, and how to get them on board and make them useful in this whole process of East African community integration. So you guys are looking at young people generally, and we don't obviously neglect the idea of governance, because also part of the issues that we have are because we have issues within governance, issues that they are not making probably the right policies, or they are not giving us enough space to be able to inform the decision making in that regard. So how do you guys think, I want to begin with the Philip, how do you think the young people can actually claim that space in the decision making and say that, be able to say that, stand up and tell the leaders that, look, we are going to, we want this kind of thing, we want to move in this kind of direction, and as biggest stakeholders especially, Uganda has a population of about more than 70% young people. So they are biggest stakeholders. How do we make sure that they are there and they are able to contribute? And before Philip starts, I want to read out our numbers for the callers. We have both MTN and Airtel. MTN is 0789 017 145. For those of you who are using MTN, please call in and tell us what you have, an idea or a question if you have. We shall be able to address it. For Airtel, it's 0759 13 23 10. 0759 13 23 10. So you use those phone numbers, or you can go and put there a comment. We shall be able to read it, or you can call and ask it straight up. So Philip.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I encourage young people. We are the right beneficiaries of tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow's Africa. If we lead the issues to the old, it's not good for us, because we are going to be affected. If you say that let them know it's their government. No, no way. Let's engage, let's do research, let's read about those people who laid the foundation on Africa we are now today, and then catch up. Let's have those ideas, let's engage with leaders, because if we engage, it's good to engage with ourselves and discuss about it, but we should link up with leaders. That's why Africa Kwetu, we are engaging with leaders that have gone beyond East Africa. And then we come up, we form a chain when they are getting out, and then we take over smoothly as young leaders, as of who had courage from those old, and then we create a good Africa. East Africa at large as our main objective of East African integration. It's when societies unite, they really get a strong voice, economic voice, political voice, and development emerges. So if we have Uganda, it's difficult to go to Tanzania. You will exchange money, passport, which is so delaying. Yes. Someone in USA will travel from California to Texas without visa, without exchanging money. But you are going to Tanzania, you will change into dollars, Tanzanian shillings, which is very slow, which is slowing our growth. We use English language, but for Africa, would emphasize Kiswahili. It is in schools, but it's optional. It's optional. I heard in that this new curriculum, it will be made compulsory, but they talk about it but don't implement. If Africa would get a strong voice, a strong unification, Kiswahili would be better, because if you are, like, we want to say that the West is making it very difficult for us to grow. But if we have that unique language, and in our mobilization, we use Kiswahili, it will be difficult for the enemy to penetrate, to disturb our plans as Africa when we are growing. So I encourage the education system, East Africa, let them give Africa Kwetu a platform and really work out those objectives of ours.
They give you the opportunity to present your ideas.
Yeah, we present our ideas, and then we really speed up the integration process. Because it's very bad to talk about but not implementing. Let leaders choose, let them work toward they are supposed to do. Because here are some leaders that when this time in office, which is delaying me, is that achieving African integration. Work about your system. If the delaying factor of East African integration is corruption, is human rights violation, is like election rigging, so sort it out. Don't, when you are going to go in office, rig elections, and then how are you going to dine with Tanzania when you have those bad practices? How is Kenya going to trust you that you will make a good economy when you still have those backslidings of whatever democratic indiscipline?
That's more like the same as I think she said about, I think he did, about you coming here, please make sure you come with clean hands.
Yes.
So that's a good one. I want to pick your mind, Belinda, on how do we make sure we mainstream young people for decision making, especially?
Hello.
Yes, please, someone on the line.
Okay, hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Solomon from Masaka.
Okay, Solomon, thank you for listening.
I want to thank you, Rogers, and the team, rather the guests that you have hosted. They seem to be articulate, but most importantly, being young people of a generation where I belong. I have a quick one that I would want to ask Belinda in particular. let her be honest and tell us in their classes of patriotism who has been mentioned as the father of the nation. And the moment we get a very right answer, as in it is actually what they have taught them, you will definitely know that patriotism has lost a meaning because of the lies that are spread amongst young people. The moment you drop facts like it's a different person that was a father of the nation, it denies young people from learning a few good things that the previous leaders did for this country, and then we zero on to praising one particular individual. And that is how this whole idea of patriotism dies. Secondly, I have heard her saying on how they would wake them up around 4 a.m. and the rest. So you see, Rogers and those guests, that patriotism has been reduced into militarism. It must be military drills. It must be, those long distance marathons they have. So it has been reduced onto militarization of every single institute. I can assure you there should be an alternative way of teaching people patriotism without necessarily going through the military drills. That isn't fair at all. But also to ask from your guests on whether, by the way, Africa Kwetu has only people from one tribe. I am thinking Belinda, her other name is from West, the other gentleman is from West, the other one is also from West. Don't they think that it's not strategic enough to have the top leadership, if this is the leadership anyway? Coming from one region isn't a fair act towards the rest. And finally, I heard you, Rogers, saying that you wouldn't want young people, you would want to see young people on a decision-making table. But it should go beyond simply being at the decision-making table. The issue should be, are your decision considered? We have youth MPs on a decision-making table. Call it parliament. Are their decisions being considered anyway? Otherwise, it's a good idea. We look forward to seeing them in all our regions and districts. May God bless all of them.
Thank you so much for calling in from Masaka. It's a great pleasure to have you on the line. The first question was particular. Belinda,
yes.
Talk about patriotism. This gentleman is questioning the strategy.
Now, one thing I get from what he says is that there's a problem with the packaging.
Yes.
Patriotism in itself is fine, but what is packaged there for him is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so he talks about things like the military training and all of that, and to him it is irrelevant. We do not need to incorporate it in patriotism. But if I'm to speak on personal basis, I think I needed to harden a little bit. I needed that bit of that military training because there's a way it shaped my mind. Is the way it brought some things like teamwork and all those things. They became easier for me to relate easily with. There's some aspects it came with that I identified with and I loved and I enjoyed. Because if they were to bring a game that was going to bring all of us together, it would have been a little bit hard and strange for some people to get in because I'm not a sports girl. If they'd put basketball or what, I would not get in. But with military training, the training we were having, that you call the military training, it was more of line up in your teams, make sure you have your teammates, make sure you have not left them. Supposed to probably be careful with this stick. They're telling you it is probably a gun, but they're telling you you need to attach value to it. Hold it carefully, respect it. You do not just do this to it. So at a point I realized that I was being taught that if I'm given any tool in authority, not necessarily a gun, I should use that tool in the right way. I should respect it and use it in the way it is supposed to be used and guard it and see value and importance to it. Now, I think the other problem with us is the way we see things. I may see something in a different angle, or I'm a person who wants to see or to seek relevance and importance out of every situation. Because if I am to be so judgmental and look at everything as useless, I do not need this, I do not need the other, then how will I ever benefit in life? Or how will I ever explore and learn other things? I do believe we need to be open-minded, and we need to leave certain things to come into our lives. Get these experiences. It is a one life experience.
Probably his issue is this, that when we are looking at the use of the army drills kind of stuff that you went through, it makes everyone think that probably every patriotic should be coming that direction. And it has corrupted the mind. There could be better ways of nurturing someone to be patriotic. You're going to sit someone down and teach them principles.
And I think, because the time we had them, they were not like throughout the day. It was a morning thing, just for the morning as you wake up, as they were more like exercises. And after that, all the other sessions were talks, were listening to people talking and all of that. Another thing, I saw him talking about, is it the father of the country, and things related to that. Now, in life, I do believe sometimes you eat the meat and you remove the bones and you throw them out. So if you're being told that someone is the father of the country and you do not accept it, you have your reasons, there's someone who will probably take it up. And maybe his point could be there's someone who's being hoodwinked to believe that this is the only God we have had in Uganda and all those things, and those are issues I would not want to relate myself with or to talk about. I would leave issues of the generals to the generals. But talking about how Africa Kwetu is trying to see, as Africa Kwetu, we are trying to bridge that gap between the leaders that we are having today and with the leaders that are coming up next. Because one thing we do believe is that every leader, every successful leader should be able to hand over. But the question is, who do you hand over to? Have you groomed the person you're handing over to? Now, one of the loopholes I'm seeing with today's leaders is that they have lacked the mentorship aspect. They have lacked the grooming aspect. At a point, I have a feeling that they're in those offices and they think they'll be there forever and forever, amen. Yet your time comes, you do what you have done, you give way for others to either come up and push up what you have done to make it better, something like. If that was the way all leaders looked at leaders, then I do believe governance would be better. If every leader out there, for example, I could give an example, not necessarily that it should be done, but if every leader in office today would say, I'm going to have a YouTube channel where I offer mentorship. Or if there could be a TV program where these leaders, instead of coming up to give national issues, talk about their offices and whatever, could just go and give mentorship. If they could have tours to different schools and just share that experience of being a leader, create those ideas in the young people, I think that would be better. Because as Africa Kwetu, we have met different leaders. For example, Kano Edith Nakalema. The time we met her and she shared her story, personally, I was touched. I felt like this was a message every girl out there, every youth out there needed to listen to. But they were not listening to. They were only seeing someone out there not knowing where they came from. But when we got a chance to write their story, to listen to what they had to say and note it down, we realized that these are messages. There's a grooming somewhere when she talks about her story and integrity and different values that she built as a young girl. Then I realized I need the same values. I need to stand up and say, I need to be relevant to my country. I need to be relevant to society, as she said, at a young generation. So as Africa Kwetu, we are saying that we are trying to see that we try to bridge this gap. There's that generation gap of they're high there and we are down here, we're not connecting, we're looking at them wondering, what are you doing? We're not even understanding, when are you leaving? But if they could try and help us understand what is there, because a lot is happening up there that we do not understand. But to avoid us to be more judgmental and more violent and wondering what are they even doing anyway, let them try to help us understand what is there. Because in any case, we are coming there.
That's right.
It is not right to tell us, Ojakulo Olabe, you'll grow up and find it there. No, that is wrong. Let them calm down. Let them use avenues like Africa Kwetu as we are creating. Let them use us to try and send out these messages, this information to the young people and mentor them. And another thing I had forgotten, he talked about tribe and all those things. Now, I don't know, on a personal basis, I do not look at him as someone from the West or what. I prefer looking at all of us as Ugandans, as people.
It looks that way, but for someone out there
Yes.
who wants to relate, because now,
Yes.
like you said when you were beginning, you said we want to create a condition where everyone is free to relate, everyone is free to engage,
and
without that barriers. But someone is going to stand out there and look at Philip, Belinda, and Eric and say,
Yes.
man, this is one thing that should be coming from one generation.
Yes, and now where the problem comes in is that we came up with the idea. Now, it is like if Digital comes up with an idea that is supposed to support, a national idea. The first people or the people at the front line are going to be Digitalk, because you understand this and you're presenting it to the rest. We are open to, actually we are onboarding different people. We keep reaching out to those that, to different students, because since we are students that are from high school and still in high school, we have people from other tribes. We have Basoga, we have Baganda part of the team. Maybe we could not come with them today because probably you find some of the people you're relating with or you're dealing with maybe a bit far, or they're telling you, my parent could not allow me to make it here. And maybe my parent and his parents said it is okay, go forward.
I'm going to cut it short, but basically what they are saying is, as we grow, maybe you'll tell you guys as we close, you'll tell us how other people can join. So that someone out there knows that I can be a part of it. They shouldn't be looking at it in a way of, it's this side. So I want to go to Eric. He asked the question of, we have young people who are trying to claim their spaces.
And
but
sorry to cut you short, but he has just reminded me, actually, we are just members. Me and him are members. If we are looking at the leadership, I think he's the president, and me and him are just leaders. We just enrolled into the group because we realized...
So he just called you on
Yes,
board.
we realized we identified with what he was saying, and we felt attached to it, and we got onboarded.
Okay.
So it is an open group to anyone out
So
there.
anyone out there wants to join them, you can join them. That is just an open call. So Eric, I wanted to ask, this gentleman talked about having young people on board. Our issue was young people are probably not given enough space, but he says even when we are given space, do we really take it out? Our issues and decisions really considered? How do you think we can get our decisions, addressed?
We had talked about East Africa that I had not been given a chance to talk about.
Please do.
East African community was formed some time back, started with the likes of Julius Nyerere, collapsed, was revived, but as we look, the current situation is almost doing what? Collapsing again. So when the likes of the people who are in offices now, the likes of the president and Mayam Shago, when they were still young, they are saying leaders are the problem, or they are the factors that are delaying the East Africa's integration. But now,
they're the ones.
They are the leaders.
Now, where is
and
the problem?
still, it has done what? It has failed. You see, for me, I personally identify that maybe the main factor that has delayed the integration of East Africa is because they have always begun with economic integration. Economic integration has always been there, taxes, but every society, political power determines the direction of every society.
That's right.
Political power is very instrumental. It provides order in every community, in every society. So that's why we are coming out to advocate for a political integration first. So when we look at the current leaders, the disagreements between them, the closure of borders, really there is little hope for the integration of East Africa. And therefore, the hope is within the youth, the young people. Therefore, it is urgent for us as young people, because it is the time for young people for responsible young people to take over and assume authority and responsibility. So it is very urgent to identify ideas and actions, of course, as young people that are going to raise people's attachment,
and
interest, pride, and belonging to East Africa as a region and to Uganda as a nation. So that's why we call, or we make a call to the young people to actively participate in East Africa's integration process, because now we see that the hope for the East African integration lies with the youth. Yes. So, and failure to do so, still the offices again will be taken over by non-patriots, by maybe fools who were...
Fools, I wouldn't say is the appropriate word.
So you find ourselves still
with the same problem.
With the same problem again and again.
Okay, that's right. So, I wanted you to talk about how to make the young people's decisions and voices heard. Then I'll get back to Philip.
It would have been possible that, but because young people are not given opportunity, they are not given chances. Yes, they are there, but the later to it, we have youth members of parliament, we have the youth parliament, but we have not seen them present. Or anyway, if they have presented those bills and what, they have not been implemented. We don't really feel them as young people. We don't really feel their presence. We just listen to the youth parliament, we just listen to the youth MPs.
And that is the end of the day.
That is the end of the day.
Okay. Philip, you seem to have something to add.
I want to say that East Africa, they want to show love in moments of celebrating, but when it comes to problems, each country for itself.
They are not friends in need.
Yes.
And answer the other man's question of why should patriotism be militarized? It's not as a patriot, you need to have love for your country and you are willing to sacrifice for it. You should not only stop at loving and then you live along sacrificing. We are in a catastrophe of people blowing up themselves and then bombing cities. So as patriots, when children are given those ideas, they know how to defend, how to detect enemies, how to defend their societies. Such cases will come at a low pace. You'll get that skill of fighting, you will defend your society. But saying that patriotism is militarized, really, we are going to be patriotic in talking, in what, but when enemy comes, we are going to lose.
Okay.
So having patriotic values of defense, it really matters a lot to our society. And it changes the mindset of an individual. You won't get time to think about losing hope and then distracting other people. No, they should have, if there are some issues, let them generate ideas and then solve them peacefully, smoothly. They will come to the right conclusion.
Okay.
But acting in another way of distraction, which means you will get distracted and then you are going to waste your economy, you are going to waste, people will lose lives, those people who take up the future, and then after achieving what that you want to be in government and then you want to use the other means of bombing, who will you manage?
Okay.
The economy to manage will not be there.
Actually,
thank you, Philip.
Leaders, citizens are united, citizens of East Africa are united.
Okay.
But leaders are somehow the problem. If the leaders too would be united, then what would delay the integration of East Africa?
Okay, those are the words of this gentleman. Philip is saying it's very important to have military skills as a patriot. I don't know if every one of us agrees with it, not me particularly, but some gentlemen out there said we don't really need military.
Actually, that is maybe they tend to use it with to confuse it with scouting.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think to reconsider with what is, because I've been trying to think about what he said. I think maybe, I think the drills are fine, but maybe they should be reduced. In cases where you find you've been there for a long time, we should look at them as physical fitness activities, have them for a limited period, because I think he had a reason why he said that. And I've been trying to reason with him. And I think he had a point somewhere. They should reduce on that, because somehow it corrupts these people's mind, and you think, okay, military, then you have to be brutal and what, but they should try and regulate
and look at different ways
and
of
package
people,
different things, and package these things to suit us best, and things that will not corrupt our minds but help us be open-minded and think rightly.
Okay, thank you so much. We are coming, time is really leaving us out. I want you guys to, in conclusion, right now, I'll begin with Philip. Just tell us your parting shots, what you would want to tell young people or even leaders at that. And maybe you all could tell us, when you do that, tell us what you do in your free time or other things you do apart from Akwetu.
Okay. In my free time, I do domestic work. I'm a farmer.
Okay.
Yes. I work, I go to gardens, when I'm in village, that's what I do. And my free time, I'm a fan of swimming.
Try to use like 1 minute.
I try to get informed about issues concerning our society. As a patriot, I try to realize issues and then contribute somewhere when things are getting wrong. And what I want to tell to young people, please young people, nobody will prepare a bright future for you if you don't focus and achieve your right goal.
No one is going to do it for you.
No one is going to do it for you.
Okay.
Be true, have individual discipline, and then if you have individual discipline, every young people, then our society will be okay. Let's not aim at blaming.
And apportioning blame to other people when we are not doing enough.
Yes.
That
Let's
is
stop
Philip
the
for you.
blame
Belinda, you'll do your closing remarks and then tell us what you'll have to do and what do you do.
So my closing remarks, I'd like to say Africa Kwetu is open to anyone. As long as you're from East Africa, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to relate with us. Feel free to share your ideas, because we are a team. We cannot do this alone with the other people we have, but we need more people on board, because as you have said, integration is beautiful or is more meaningful when it is among the people. So if we the people can become united, then we could be better and we could achieve better. And then I'd like to read for us a quote by John F. Kennedy that says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Be part of the positive history of Uganda. Be part of those who will emancipate our country. That is something I look up to. As Belinda, as me, I look out to see that I add value to my country. I look out to be relevant. Now, going to, on the other hand, what I do, I'd like to call myself female or girl activists, especially the teenagers. There's a way I relate with them. I'm still a teenager, so I relate more to them. Currently, I have a talk show on an online radio called High Five Radio that I run every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. And last Sunday, I launched something called What's Next for the Girl Child, for the teenage girl child. For the teenage mothers, yes, because I'm looking at these girls need to be supported. They need to be helped, so I look at such things. And then I love reading. I do believe our reading culture somewhere is lacking, so we need to embrace reading culture. Knowledge is power. The more you can acquire more knowledge, you can be a better person. I love writing. I do some writing. I've not yet publicized it, but I'm hoping to probably drop some writings in some places, drop them for publicity.
So you are a presenter, you are a writer, you are an activist?
Yes, I do public speech. I do some mentorship. I love mentorship. I do so many things. So to the youths out there, I would like to tell them, explore your potential. Do not just be there. Seek out to know what you can do. There are things I didn't know I could do, but when I tapped into them, I realized I could do this, I could do the other. So be adventurous, seek out what you can do, and always be intentional. Seek to add value and be relevant to society. And I do believe we shall be better people. Thank you very much. They can follow me on my Twitter, Belinda Amanya.
Okay, so that is Belinda. The Kalango 5 came in handy. I will listen to your conclusion in less than a minute. Your conclusion and what?
May I talk about East Africa? History has it that East Africa is the origin of human beings, and human beings mean civilization, and civilization means living together. So there's no need of living individually or separated from others. So we need to unite.
Okay.
As people, it is said that once people's problems are solved, people become united. So I'm going out to the leaders.
Okay.
Focus more on solving people's problems.
Okay.
Every leader, every person in every leadership position, focus more on solving people's problems. That's when people themselves will be united, and then it's when we shall look at the integration of East Africa.
What do you do?
So, I do reading magazines and poems. I write.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And to the young people, this is the time, and as we know and as we see, the hope for East Africa's integration is with us, it's in our hands.
That is Eric Chiza for you. He's the president of Africa Kwetu Students Association. I am not so good with Kiswahili. I'm just lucky that I'm going to make it compulsory. I hope I'll be able to learn. So I want to thank you, gentlemen and lady, for being here today. There are those young people out there who are looking up to you. And there are leaders who need young people like you. Maybe there are those who have ideas that they can't implement themselves. They need young people on board. So thank you for presenting yourself for the opportunity. I want to thank our callers, every one of you has called. And those who are tuning in, we have some people on Facebook, to Mimbi Senoman, Jeremiah. We have Ndebe Samo, Samson. I am impressed. That lady really has impressive ideas. And that speech is so engaging. Keep up, okay? We have a cheerleader for a young lady. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the woman on camera, Anita Msementa. She's the one who has been giving you all the shots I've been seeing. And the people in the control room, Teddy Tenjo, the young women are doing it right here. Teddy Tenjo in the control room, she's doing it with Mr. Jeremiah and Arnold Anthony Mkose. I want to thank you all for being with us. And of course, we'll pick up next time. Tomorrow is another day. We're going to do Mighty Drive yet again. Mulangira, those people have been asking for Mulangira's show. It's tomorrow, and it's going to be here with Farida Bikoweri and Anthony Arnold Mukose. Today evening, we have Diaspora Link. We have Nixon Praise, who will be here with Abdallah Kayonde, who's a president for some migrant workers' voice, and some other gentlemen that will be talking about the diaspora and how we can make better. So yeah, that is, my name is Rogers Tulyahabwe. I don't want to take any more time. I want to stop it at this. I wish you a good day, a very good morning.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.